Welcome. As you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children, your partner, or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest, you are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. And for those of you who weren't here last week, we're experimenting this month with starting the service with announcements. So here's the opportunity to share announcements that were not in the order of service. Valerie.
Hi, good morning. I have some really great news, and that is we are getting 2 more Afghan families who are coming out before the travel ban goes into effect. We found out on Friday. They're coming this week. So we are in desperate need of beds, twin beds and a queen bed or a king bed or a faux bed and kitchen items. So please contact me with that, and we'll bring them here and we'll, get them supplied as we go along, but beds are essential. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie. That's great. Any other announcements? Judy.
Hot off the press. The Jumbo program is going to be here singing at our worship service on the 27th of April, which I have a postcard I just put together for it. And I have these to give to people. Spread the word. We're inviting everybody to the event. And I think you'll enjoy the kids singing, as well as the members from the Helena Women's Chorus who are volunteering with us. It's the regular worship service. It's the 4:30 worship service, and there'll be a potluck afterwards.
Thanks, Judy. Okay, and now Ezra is going to help us light the chalice as we read together chalice lighting number 451 in your program. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. We strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. And then please read with me number 473, which in many congregations and fellowships is read every service as a covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now Judy is going to sing This Chalice I Wear from the Open Your Heart songbook, which I forgot to bring up here. Are you soloing or leading us in singing?
Oh, that's all.
So it's the ring down white songbook. Page
54 and 55. This chalice I wear, I do not wear it lightly. This chalice I wear, it tells of life and death, people who lived in the strength of their beliefs, and the people who died in the strength of their beliefs. This chalice I wear, I do not wear it lightly. I do not wear it lightly. This chalice I light, I do not light it lightly. This chalice I light is a chalice of love, love for community, love for the world, love for one another, love for myself. This chalice I light, I do not light it lightly. This chalice I light, I do not light it lightly. And yet this chalice burns with joy. I know that I am not alone. This community of faith is my home. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice that burns, burns deep in my heart. Flames of compassion, sacrificial tears, a beacon of hope that shines through the years. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice that burns, I do not view it lightly. This chalice I am, I do not live it lightly. This chalice I am, I carry to the world, vowing to live true to my beliefs, and knowing I could die for living true to my beliefs. This chalice I am, I do not live it lightly. This chalice I am, I do not live it lightly. And yes, this chalice burns with joy. I know that I am not alone. This community of faith is my home.
Thank you, Judy, for writing it and for singing it. And now Gemma is going to come to the front with all the kids and kids at heart to read the story, The Five Smooth Stones. And kids, please gather around Gemma with parents if you're more comfortable. And for the grown-ups, the images will be projected up on the screen. Thanks for coming up, Eli.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, that's okay. We'll put it on the non-Eli side.
Oh, thank you.
Let's try. How's the audio? Good? We are amplified? Okay. Five Smooth Stones, written and illustrated by Molly Johnson, with some edits by Becky. Okay. 5 small stones settled snugly among several others in the shining summer sun. The water that had once deposited them here had long vanished. The dry riverbed had become their cozy home. It looks like a pretty good home. Yet one day, everything changed. One drop turned to another drop and another drop until the sky above them became as black as night. Thunder pierced through the chatter of falling rain as lightning lit up the sky. Suddenly, behind them, they felt a powerful push. Their parched riverbed had now become a relentless rushing river. Its force uprooted them, causing them to twist and turn in its powerful current. Crack! They were unceasingly dashed against other rocks. Smack! They were continually propelled into tree limbs. Whack! They were beginning to wonder if this unwelcomed rushing ride would ever end. Finally, they slowed to a halt as the current wedged them against other rocks at a small waterfall. As the water rushed furiously past them, they were delighted to hear the sound of whistling above them. Hello down there. Look at me high in the tree. Watch me sing, sing, sing so wonderfully. As they lifted their gaze into the branches above, they spotted a beautifully colored bird singing in perfect pitch. Hello, the 5 stones replied excitedly in unison. What can you do? Can you sing like me? The brightly colored bird sang out again. No, we cannot, the stones regretfully replied. Oh, isn't there anything special you can do? Everyone can do something special, the beautiful bird inquired. No, we don't really have any special talents like you. Oh, well, that is pitiful. I'm sorry to hear that. Good day to you. And with that, the beautiful bird took off in the air. He was not especially nice. The 5 stones were growing discouraged. The current constantly battered them against other stones and debris. Their journey downstream seemed endlessly long. Would they ever come to a resting place? Would their meaningless lives ever amount to anything useful? What was the purpose of this tireless battering, bumping, dashing, and dumping? But to their surprise, the waters grew refreshingly calm. Somehow they had been pushed to the serene edge of the river. As the stones were joyfully sunning themselves in tranquil waters, enjoying a peaceful rest, they heard a deep groan resound above them. What brings you stones here to my throne? This rock is my home, inquired a large bullfrog. We have been pushed by the river away from our home, one of the stones softly replied. Can you do anything special? Can you jump so high in the sky or groan so low in a slow, deep tone? The frog bellowed. No, we can't do anything special like that, the stones sadly replied. Oh, that is pitiful. I must go now to catch my dinner. And with that, the bullfrog leapt from his throne over the 5 stones and disappeared under the flowing water. Not nice. Crash, echoed the resounding thunder through the gathering clouds. Oh no, exclaimed the stones in unison. Whoosh came the forceful rush due to the heavy rains. In moments, the 5 stones were tumbling, churning, twisting, and bumping in the cold current until finally they safely came to a stop. The clouds began to clear, and the sun rays warmed the stone surface. They sat peacefully, absorbing every moment of rest, knowing that at any moment things could change. Then they noticed a flash of brightly colored patterns. Hello there, exclaimed a beautifully patterned swallowtail butterfly as it landed on the rock next to them. Hello, the small stones uttered in exhaustion. They were worn out from the journey, but glad to meet a new friend. What brings you here near my sunning rock? The butterfly inquired. We were pushed by the current away from our home, the rocks replied. Oh, I see. Can you fly and be beautiful like me? The butterfly called to them. No, we cannot fly, we cannot leap, and we cannot sing, the sullen stones exclaimed. And with that, the beautifully colored butterfly flew high in the sky until she disappeared in the clouds. The 5 struggling stones started to sulk. Why are we here? The black stone complained. I miss our warm, cozy home, the 2 stones cried in unison. When will this rushing river ever end? The ruddy stone grumbled. We can't do anything special, we are useless, the tan stone declared. And as they were all reflecting on their pathetic situation, the waters around them began to recede. As the waters cleared away, something remarkable happened. The stones saw what the troubling storms and twisting current had accomplished. They noticed what beauty was produced by all the crashing and bashing, dropping and dumping. They had become exquisitely smooth. Every rough edge was removed. As the 5 stones pondered all the wonderful changes that had occurred, they noticed a human hand shuffling through other stones nearby, and as the hand moved closer, anticipation rose within the stones. They sensed the possibility of purpose in this moment. These will do, a young man's voice confidently whispered. Suddenly, the smooth stones found themselves gathered into a rugged, strong hand. In one moment, everything became completely clear. All the violent storms, forceful currents, and long, purposeless days were suddenly filled with meaning. The Spirit had been present with them during the whole journey, even in the worst storms, waves and wind. And they were with them now as they took on their most challenging obstacle yet. And they were ready. They had been perfectly prepared to take down this giant. The end. Have you ever picked up very smooth stones before? Never. Well, you must do it.
And now Cass and Nikki are going to help with the offering. And afterwards, we will turn to page 25. And you open your heart song and sing thank you for your love and
Thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember us who love you well. We know the gifts you bring into the world each day. So thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day.
And now Christina Barbacciano is going to share a poem called Marginal Wisdom, which is another take on rocks.
Can you guys hear me okay? Actually, I'm a little shorter than Gemma. There we go. This is Marginal Wisdom by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. They teach us to read in black and white. Truth is this, the rest false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth in many hues. We are taught to think in either or, to believe the teachings of Jesus or Buddha, to believe in human potential or a power beyond a single will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, and that the margins hold the center.
Oh, it's time for the message. Beware the Ides of March. A full red moon gradually disappearing into the dark. Gray skies and trails too muddy for walking or too icy. And now, March in our world. Frightening Goliaths, short of compassion, wielding huge economic and political power. What does the Unitarian Universalist religion provide, besides community, to face the Goliaths of our time? This past week, Sarah Bond sent me a Malcolm Gladwell TED Talk about the Bible's David and Goliath story. You probably all remember the tale. David defeats the huge Philistine warrior, Goliath, by slinging 5 smooth stones at him. Gladwell's talk has reaped 9 million views. 9 million. I'd never thought much about the David and Goliath story until I learned that a few wise Unitarian Universalists had used it as inspiration for describing the principles of our religion. Much of Gladwell's talk was about the details of warfare in 11th century BC. But what struck me was his conclusion, that David was stronger than we imagine, and Goliath weaker. According to Gladwell, Goliath might have been a victim of gigantism. In Gladwell's words, the very thing that was the source of Goliath's power, his size, was also the source of his greatest weakness, his blindness and his instability from his gigantism. Well, I'm still not captured by the story, but I am interested in what you ministers have had to say about it. But before I get to the smooth stones and the jagged rocks, I'm going to talk about food, because that's one of my favorite topics. I combat the gray of March by spending an occasional morning in my cozy kitchen, filling the air with the deep smell of roasted garlic and the yeasty smell of bread dough rising on the warm stovetop. Looking forward to a hot evening meal shared with neighbors, the comfort of communal food. The Reverend Robin Landeren Zucker uses shared stew as a metaphor for connecting with our UU heritage. In her words, we UUs sometimes forget that we are akin to a soup base that has simmered for centuries, rich in integrity, courage, and faithfulness. As you know, one of the origins of the word religion is to bind together. Our UU stew blends cabbage from Transylvania, sausage from Poland, corn from the Iowa Sisterhood, and fine wine from the Enlightenment. Eat this in remembrance of me, calls out Michael Servetus, Spanish Renaissance humanist, whose writings influenced the beginnings of the Unitarian movement in Poland and Transylvania. Eat this in remembrance of me, calls out Reverend Olympia Brown, who in 1863 became the first woman to be ordained as a minister in the Universalist Church. Last spring, our BSUU book club read North Woods by Daniel Mason, a tale of American history described through the lens of one yellow house in Massachusetts, all its inhabitants and all their passions. One of the characters, Charles Osgood, was a dedicated apple grower. As I prepared my apple-focused baked goods for our book club meeting, I felt truly connected to my apple growing and apple baking ancestors from Ireland and New England. The apple recipes represent a lot more to me than just dessert ideas. They're recipes for connection, for communion, a form of temperate table wisdom passed down through generations, a legacy sweetened with joy and salted with tears. Eat this in remembrance of me, my Portland Congregationalist great-grandmother Ella calls out. Eat this and remember. Each of us has a heritage of foodways representing our community of origin and our historic religious identities. Irish stew or Greek moussaka, potato latkes or potato lefse, Native American fry bread or Ramadan curried lentils, shared dishes binding us together. One of the reasons our small band of BSUUers left the Christian Science Church building in 2009 was because it lacked a kitchen. It was just too challenging to try to set up a weekly coffee pot and import all the foods that we needed to share post-service coffee. Our foodways are important to us. That said, many UUs choose to no longer eat our traditional foods, literally or metaphorically. The late UCC minister, Reverend Dan Smith, writes about the loss of religious heritage in his sermon, The Roots of Memory. In Smith's words, our memories are being anesthetized by the unceasing demands of the trivial, the fleeting, and the fashionable. We spend more time thinking about the memory in our computers than the memories of our religions. Believe it or not, writes Smith, there is something irreligious about forgetting, because being religious is about being rooted in the shared memory of community. The church is, more than anything, a community of memory. In the words of our hymn, Spirit of Life, roots hold me close, wings set me free. New attendees at UU are sometimes so enthusiastic about being freed from constraining religious traditions that they risk missing the value of shared historic UU wisdom. To make things even more confusing, our national organization, which is us, periodically updates our values and principles to meet our evolved understanding. So how do we hold fast to our roots while feeling the freedom of a covenantal, evolving religion? Former UUA President Reverend Bill Schultz writes, to affirm creedlessness alone may be to lose one's vision of what is most important in Unitarian Universalism. UUism must provide faith in substance, not just style. As Schultz suggests, religion is a meal, not a snack. Our stew base is thickened and flavored by Enlightenment root values such as freedom for individual consciousness, the use of reason, and compassionate engagement with the world. And just as the vinegar and garlic in a stew ignites the lentils and potatoes, UU conscience ignites compassion, and skepticism ignites wonder. I'm going to repeat that. UU conscience ignites compassion, and skepticism ignites wonder. Unitarian Universalism is not simply covenantal and creedless. We UUs have a time-tested formula for living in the world. That recipe has been eloquently expressed in 1976's 5 Smooth Stones, 1960's Since 6 Principles, along with 1985's 7th Principle, the Interdependent Web, the early 2000s 5 Jagged Rocks, and 2024's Shared Values. I imagine that, like me, you're less familiar with the 5 stones and the 5 jagged rocks. However, as I reviewed them for this service, I felt a deep sense of familiarity and resonance. So here are the stones. Reverend James Luther Adams came up with the 5 smooth stones of liberalism in 1976 while working as a professor at Harvard Divinity School, a social activist, and an influential UU minister. He'd been raised as the son of an itinerant Plymouth Brethren minister and described himself as moving from pre-millenarian fundamentalism to scientific humanism and finally to liberal Christianity. A lot of syllables. Adams created his 5 smooth stones with inspiration from the story of David and Goliath. He believed that liberal religion, just like David with his stones and sling, could have a powerful impact on the world if members held the right tools. And here are Adams's 5 smooth stones. 1, and they're not necessarily in this order. Religious liberalism depends upon the principle that revelation is continuous. We are a living tradition because we are always learning new truths. To follow the food metaphor, we take the recipes of the past and update them to meet the current understanding and evolving tastes of our world. Number 2, all relations between us ideally rest on mutual free consent, not on coercion. In other words, we freely choose to show up here and to walk forward together. 3, religious liberalism affirms the moral obligation to direct one's effort towards the establishment of a just and loving community. We value working to make the world a better place and try to instill that value in the next generation. 4, religious liberalism denies the immaculate conception of virtue and affirms the necessity of social incarnation. In other words, good things don't just happen. People make them happen. Number 5, liberalism holds that the divine and human resources that are available for the achievement of meaningful change justify an attitude of ultimate optimism. We have hope. We have faith that there's enough food for all. Sorry, this really gets me right now. It's hard. And that our work will move the planet forward in a positive direction. Sometimes, as Judy writes, the road is long and we are weary, but we hold fast to hope. So to briefly review, 1, revelation is continuous. 2, our relationship rests on free consent. 3, we have a moral obligation to try to make the world a better place. 4, virtue comes from social incarnation. 5, we have optimism, we have hope, based on our human and divine resources. The 5 smooth stones were conceived amongst the granite, rounded, and ancient mountains of New England. In this century, Reverends Nancy Bowen and Mike Moran of our Mountain Desert District created the 5 Jagged Rocks, a nod to our craggier mountains. They chose jagged rocks to recognize both our Western geology and a faith that is dangerous and not always smooth going. So here are the jagged rocks. 1, life's beautiful diversity is held in mysterious unity. Everything is connected. Some might call that unity God, the spirit of life, or the mystery of the universe. In the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson, we are stardust brought to life, then empowered by the universe to figure itself out, and we have only just begun. 2, all souls are sacred and worthy. We don't focus on whether someone is damned or divine, because it doesn't matter where they're going. It matters that they are here. People are sacred just for being alive, independent of the color of their skin, their immigration status, or who they love. The 3rd jagged rock is courageous love transforms the world. As Reverend Jean recently described, courageous love is deeper and wider than just love. As UUs, we do our best to stand again and again on the side of love. In the well-known words of Universalist Edwin Markham, he drew a circle to shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout, but love and I had the wit to win. I drew a circle and took him in. The 4th rock is the knowledge that truth continues to be revealed, the 1st smooth stone. Our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors, if they made it through one of our services, might have been shocked to learn over coffee that many of us don't even believe in a God, the Father. The 5th rock is salvation in this life, or as I like to say, heaven on earth. While members of most faiths believe in an afterlife, Unitarian Universalists in general believe that how we live is more important than what happens after we die. Moral obligation, the 3rd smooth stone. In 2025, we're facing multiple Goliaths, politically or financially powerful forces of disconnection. What are the smooth stones or jagged rocks that will help us defeat the Goliaths in our human community, to help us stay connected in the face of evil? As religious liberals, like most religious folks, we have a moral obligation to work for a better world. And in the words of Reverend James Luther Adams, liberalism holds that the divine and human resources available for the achievement of meaningful change justify an attitude of ultimate optimism. Hold on to our evolving Unitarian Universalist tradition and hold on to hope. Shalom, blessed be. And now we have some time for reflections.
I want a copy.
It's hard to remember all that stuff.
Becky. That was a gift to us. I know you've been going through a lot, and the optimism and the nurturing in what you just gave to us, we're going to carry that. So thank you.
I didn't realize that it would be harder to deliver a message during this time. It's harder.
Yeah.
So, Becky, you have achieved what in my mind is an ideal message. You have educated us in many ways with wisdom from our history. You've illustrated the principles that have been evolving over the years and bringing them up to the present, to our own knowledge. Particularly, to me, the right of our existence, the obligation to be of service to our community, and the knowledge that we are adequate up to the task, live in a community of love and purpose, and here we are. I feel heartened. My optimism, which sometimes I feel like I'm kind of silly because I'm optimistic, and you've made me feel like I'm on the right path. And this community is so supportive. Your words are profoundly, I'm just grateful for them. Thank you for this work.
You guys are more than welcome. So correct me if I'm wrong, because it was a lot to take in, which I really appreciate as well, but it seemed like the only two rocks from the two different sources of 5, the only one that was the same in both was the constantly evolving. And what that means is interesting to think about.
As we expected, what you said was wonderful, as it always is. We're so grateful to have you and what you prepare for us. In addition to that, you gave us time afterwards, enough time and reflection to become, at least for me, to become aware of the beauty of being in this room with these people and the feeling of community and love that's here. I really appreciate that time to reflect quietly and silently and appreciate the beauty of being here, hearing you.
Yeah, sometimes I think we could sit for half an hour just listening to the creaking of the ceiling and the winds and the dogs. It's really wonderful.
Yes, thank you, Becky, and thanks for bringing in this message, not only for us to be together, but for us to gather the collective wisdom of the people who have been the foundation and the builders of this religion that we have. Sometimes people don't take our religion very seriously. Some people define Unitarians by, oh, you don't believe in anything. I can believe whatever I want. and I'm quick to correct them, that we have strong beliefs. And I was lucky to be at Russell Lockwood Leadership School when Reverend Nancy Bowen and Howell and others were really working on the 5 jagged rocks. And so that is the basis of the song that I wrote, There Is a Unity, which we'll be singing. And I was careful to write positive statements that I had heard from these folks that were on the staff there at Russell Lockwood Leadership School. But it begins with there is, not I believe or we believe. We are a very unique religion, and I'm happy to be here and wear the figurative chalice. So thank you, Becky.
And so that's the intro to There Is a Unity that is folded into your order of service. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you. I got out of order. So 119, when I wanted something out of the hymnal, and I remembered this from childhood, and you know, it rings true. It's still worth singing. Number 119 in the blue hardbound book.
I'm going to play the last half of it as an intro.
Once to every soul and nation comes the moment to decide. In the strife of truth with falsehood, for the good or evil side, then to stand with truth is noble when we share its wretched crust. Ere that cause bring fame and profit, and 'tis prosperous to be just. Though the cause of evil prosper, yet 'tis truth alone is strong. Though its portion be the scaffold, and upon the throne be wrong, then it is the brave one chooses, while the coward stands aside, till the multitude make virtue of the faith they have denied.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of having that at the end of the message, but then I wanted a meditation. So we're going to keep Judy up here and do There Is a Unity. The lyrics are in your order of service.
And in the interest of ever-evolving religion, I've given the lead sheet to Cheryl, and this morning I managed to think of some new chords in it, but I'll wink at you if I'm going to use E7 instead of G. Oh dear, and then this one is not the, okay, let's see. It's okay. I just have to look at this a second. Oh, yeah, okay. Two. There is a unity that makes us one. All souls are worthy and sacred. There is salvation in this lifetime. Courageous love will transform the world.
Truth continues to unfold and be revealed.
Truth continues to unfold and be revealed. There is a unity that
Makes us one. All souls are worthy and sacred. There is salvation in this lifetime. Courageous love will transform the world.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth or the warmth of community. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Ah, missed a line. Let's say it again correctly. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the fire, the warmth of This is not evolution, it's devolution. So now we end the recording, and there's time for us to share our joys and concerns.